You have to go back long before 1957 to find the first recorded history of crude oil in Alaska.
Yeah, you do. And Laurel, as we might expect, it was Alaska natives, of course, who first found some use for it way back in the day.
Long before the white man came into Alaska, Alaska natives were finding uses for the black ooze that was coming out of their hills and beaches. The northern natives would use it for burning the tar chips, and in the southeast for war paint, and then others would use the oil shale to make things like knives and nose rings.
What about the Russians who claimed this land until 1867?
Well, the Russians knew about oil on the Alaska Peninsula since 1860, but since America was running on whale oil, they kind of ignored the oil and kind of focused their attention on coal.
Well, had they known oil was so valuable, we'd probably be speaking Russian today. Not the case. Eventually, though, Russia would sell Alaska to the United States.
That's right. And the oil was discovered kind of by accident by a trapper who literally fell into it. Thomas White was a trapper who was hunting bear in 1896 around the Controller Bay area near Katella when he was tracking a wounded animal and he fell into a big black pile of mud. Well, he guts up and he cleans himself off and his rifle off, and then he thought it would be a really good idea to light a match and toss it into this black stuff, which he did. And the whole pool exploded into flames and it burned for a solid month. Well, that became the first oil-producing field for Alaska. It had its first gush of oil at the mouth of the Bering River, about 15 miles away from that coal field that was active at the time.
So news of this find would eventually reach the East Coast.
Yes. The New York Times reported an overly optimistic report stating that oil laid on all the low-lying areas of Alaska and that they had pools and lakes of oil that were more than an acre long, so we know that wasn't quite true. But the hillside now, along where the oil discovery happened, soon started blossoming with oil rigs and engineering equipment and digging materials and cabins and pipelines. And workers then had to dig these huge holes to store the crude. It was just an amazing time. Well, we had a lot of other short-lived oil activity throughout the years, but it was that 1957 massive discovery in the Swanson River area by Richfield that really hit Alaska's oil industry into high gear and started the big rush for black gold throughout Alaska.